Hi everyone, it's Lawrence with PID Floors. Today we're at HOF Capital. I'm joined by Marshall Shuster, president of Mesarch Studio, who designed this entire place.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So what led you to get on this journey, and how did you, get into architecture and start Mesarch Studio?
I grew up in Southern California, came from sort of the subcultural skateboarding punk rock scene, went to UC San Diego, studied political science and history, and then eventually moved to New York in the late 90s. And so, I guess you could say that, my interest in creative culture, history, politics, living in New York had a baby, and what came out was my interest in architecture. So then I ended up going to get my master's in architecture, and then worked at a couple small offices, worked with Jane McGrory, worked at Kravitz Design, worked at Morris Adby's office, and eventually decided to go off on my own and start Mesarch Studio.
So sitting here in HOF Capital, was there a brief for this project, or how did you approach it?
The owners of HOF Capital reached out to me after seeing the Thrive Capital project that I did, and they came to me with a challenging proposition. They found the space. They had to move out of their current office, which was in Soho, and they wanted to be in the space within 6 months.
Wow.
So I had to design, and we had to build this project in a very, very aggressive timeline. An executed contract in February, and the construction was completed in late August. We had to be very careful about our intervention in the space. So a lot of the existing infrastructure remained. Everything we did was really cosmetic, and whatever walls we put up had to work with that existing infrastructure, meaning the sprinkler system, the HVAC system couldn't be modified.
So the space from the moment you walk in feels incredibly intentional. Can you walk us through some of those design decisions, the palette, the spatial hierarchy of the space?
The program was to have 4 offices, a conference room, and a private lounge. And so what we decided was we wanted to have that main conference room right in the corner of the office space on Broadway and Bond. Then we had the lounge next to that, and another office in the corner, and then 2 offices and another office over here. So the idea was that by creating these offices in front of these beautiful arch windows, we also didn't want to block the natural light coming in. So all of the office walls were created with this glazing system. We had the wood floors running up the walls. The rhythm of the walls were sort of recalling like Japanese tea house. So there's that whole Japanese tatami mat, basically, that kind of defines that dimension. In terms of the lighting, it was meant to be very minimal. We didn't want to have a bunch of pendant lights. We didn't want to drop a ceiling. We wanted to accent the existing vault ceiling that's here. Right. So we created these planks that extend across the vaults, and we used LED strip lighting to bounce light off the ceiling, so we have a very, very uniform light in the office here.
Yeah, the space is very well lit, for
yes.
Sure.
And in addition to that, you'll notice the HVAC duct, which was existing, we added a patina to it, and all the sprinklers remained. The intention was to really sort of minimally intervene with the existing space, draw attention to these beautiful arch windows, and make sure that we have as much natural light inside.
Marshall, you split your time between Brooklyn and the Catskills. How do those 2 locations inform your perspective on design?
Yeah, so we opened the office in the Catskills about 4 years ago, and it was really a result of my family wanting to have a place to escape the city, mostly during the pandemic. So we never left the city during the pandemic, but we ended up getting a place up there, and it's been life-changing, to be honest. And I've lived in New York City for nearly 30 years now, and having that ability to get out, experience nature, has just totally changed the way I see the city, because we get to go out and come back. And coming back, I love it even more. So I get to experience the culture and the vibrancy of the city, and also the serenity of nature in the mountains. And so I guess I would say that that in a way that probably informs the way I design things, because spaces that are well organized and thought through materially have the same effect psychologically on you as nature does.
Materials are clearly a huge part of this project. How did wood play into the role of that and other natural materials?
When we started this project, the space was very stark and cold. White walls, tile on the floor, and so it felt more like an art gallery than an office. And so typically when I approach the design of offices, I'm not necessarily looking to design an office. I want to design something that feels like your home, something that's comfortable to live in. Thus, wood floors to bring in warmth to the space. It's also helping with the acoustics. We wanted something really natural looking. I typically like wood flooring that does not have a gloss to it. I want something that feels matte, so oil rubbed finishes are always preferred for me, and not too dark, right? So it has to feel warm. I don't want to see a reflection of the window on the floor. And so, so I think this particular floor was perfect for the project, and it had to be something wide enough, but then narrow enough that we could then run up the wall of these offices, and then we had cut the back of the plank so that we could fold it around the curve to the offices as well. So, which becomes more difficult if it's a wider plank.
I mean, we're seeing today so many flooring going on walls, going on ceilings, more than ever before. And the first thing I said to you when I walked in was, wow, that's a really interesting design element that you curved the floor. We don't see that often. So was that intention? I mean, it had to be, right?
Absolutely. So everything, I like to think about design when you're looking at a space in terms of levels as you go up, right? So here, you get the lowest level, you're on the floor. As you go up, you see the elevations, and here we're carrying up the floor on the elevation. There's a datum that goes all the way around the office. So the wood floor comes up the glass window wall at the same height as the banquettes over here, and that really anchors the whole space, and also I think acoustically does a lot for it.
This space is clearly very polished, but it still has a very human and home-like environment to it. Is there a way you design for that kind of emotion without losing detail or rigor?
Yeah, I think those two ideas go hand in hand in terms of how you approach design. You can't have a project that is successful without the rigor and detail that goes into it. In the case of my projects, there's definitely a theme that carries through from one project to the next. And so those details are evolving over multiple projects.
So every project comes with its own set of challenges. Were there any points on this one specifically where you guys had to pivot, problem solve, change the approach?
It was an aggressive timeline, so every decision we made had to take into consideration lead times. So we worked with a really great contractor, Nikon Build, and they really helped us bring this project to fruition.
So what kind of role did sustainability play in the project?
Sustainability always plays a role in the design process. In the case of this project, because we decided to work within the confines of the existing infrastructure, there wasn't a lot of waste in this project. So that meant not a lot of waste going to a landfill, right? I think that is probably maybe one of the most important things that architects should think about when they're renovating spaces, is that how much waste are you going to create by throwing all this stuff away that you're taking out. So in this case, there was almost zero waste. In addition, the lighting was energy efficient lighting, and the wood floors were sustainably harvested. So, given the scale of the project, I think we did pretty well.
Sustainability is huge. It's something we have to speak to clients about on a daily basis, and we're proud to say that our floors are sustainably harvested. So Marshall, you're the president of AA Brooklyn. You clearly have a very big voice in our industry. Can you share a little bit more about what projects you think we're missing in New York right now?
Affordable housing. We need a lot more affordable housing, and I think we need housing for the poor, we need housing for the middle class, You used to be able to afford to buy a house in the United States in the 1950s if you're in the middle class. Now you can't. So I think that's something that we need to do better at. And I think that should be funded by the state and city government, and it should be paid for through tax revenue.
One last question for you. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Yeah.
I have a cup every morning. It's part of my routine.
Yeah, me too, actually. So thank you so much for today. It's been really an honor and a pleasure to get to talk to you and be in the space, and we're so excited for everyone else to get to see this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. It's been Beyond the Surface, and we'll see you again soon.